Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be taking a look at the new generic trap card that's definitely got some people's attention. It is a indirect trap trick support card that has some very morbid artwork, but a very powerful effect. But before we take a look at that, I do want to take a look at a few other cards as well that didn't really fit anywhere else. So let's jump into the video and start up today's discussion. Thank you so much, everyone, for checking out the video if you are here. And if you guys have not subscribed to the channel, I ask that you consider doing so. If you enjoy the content, please hit the like button and subscribe if you enjoy what we talk about here. And then click that bell icon if you want to stay notified and up to date with everything that we discuss. So, in today's video, of course, oh no, it's a trap. We're talking about the new Trap Track card from Cyberstorm Access. A very powerful card with some interesting potential for combo decks. But first, we're going to take a look at some of the other cards that I'm just not all that excited about. Starting off with the Boundless Open Land. The Boundless Open Land is a field spell, and it looks to be the finale of the Albaz arc/lore, as we talked about in the previous video. How a lot of that was coming to an end, and it's cool, and it looks like they get a happy ending, and it's not like dreary and murder-filled, so I guess that's good. But the Boundless Open Land says if your opponent special summons a Ritual, Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, or Link monster, you can activate one of these effects. It is a hard once per turn, so you can only use each effect, once per turn. Add one Fallen Valbaz or one monster that mentions it from your deck to your hand, or special summon one Fallen Valbaz or monster that mentions it from your hand. So you can use each of these effects once per turn, so that's good. Meaning you can add something and then special it after, but your opponent would have to summon twice. Obviously, it's pretty encompassing in terms of the viable things your opponent can summon, but it is, of course, a card that doesn't really do much for you going first, and doesn't even really have any built-in protection, so I'm a little concerned about that. Obviously, it's got a decently large search pool with a lot of cards that mention Albaz now, crossed, among multiple archetypes, but it doesn't really do all that much, and I feel like the opponent could just play around it or avoid it entirely, if it was even that devastating. It's cool from a perspective of, like, seeing a resolution to the story, but I don't think the card's all that great. I would have liked to see it have some type of either, like, protection or other effect that you could actually gain some level of, appeal from or benefit from. But I don't know. I don't know how I would go about that. I just know that the card here, while it is boundless in name, it does not appear to be boundless in viability. Next up, we ask, do life points matter? DINOMORPHIA, of course, a fan favorite archetype with some dinosaur anime waifu things going on. But are they going to get some good support with this? We've got DINOMORPHIA Intact. It is a counter trap, and it says when a monster effect is activated while you control a DINOMORPHIA card, pay half your life points. Any battle damage you take for the rest of this turn becomes half your life points at the time you would take it. Also negate the activation of that monster effect, and if you do, destroy that monster. During damage calculation, while your life points are 2,000 or less, if you would take battle damage, you can banish this card from your graveyard. You take no battle damage from that battle. You can only activate one DINOMORPHIA Intact per turn. So fitting with the theme, of course, of, having the life points, wanting, not really caring too much about life points at all. This does give you some built-in protection for the rest of the turn. The way it's worded, I believe, any battle damage you take basically just halves your life points. So it's playing, you get attacked for 1,000, you're just halving your life points. I think either that, or if you have 1,000 life points and they attack, then the damage becomes 500, which is half. So I think it makes it so you can never actually lose by, like, direct damage this turn, because eventually you get down to 1 and you can't half 1. Well, you could with like 0.5, but I think you eventually get to a point where you're not going to lose because of this. And it's way too much math for my card games. And then, of course, the secondary effect, pretty standard with DINOMORPHIA stuff, banishing to prevent battle damage. So it's a really neat card in the sense that it does give them another negate and being able to play around it. And, of course, being a counter trap sort of fits exactly within the theme of that deck. I'd argue they could probably benefit from a couple more main deck monsters, but I don't really know whether or not that's a direction we're going to be heading in anytime soon. DINOMORPHIA Intact, though, pretty cool. Like the artwork a lot, and it's definitely a solid piece for the deck. Whether or not it's going to be played in multiples remains to be seen, but I think on paper, it definitely looks solid and does help, again, with that protection sort of thing that comes into it, which basically ensures you survive another turn. Next up, dual avatars still exist? It's a good question, and I was wondering the same thing when I saw this card, because I honestly completely forgot that this archetype was a thing. But Dual Avatar Lion Envoys Aun is a level 4 fusion light warrior monster that has a mountain of text and it says 2 dual avatar monsters. This card gains the following effects based on the original names of the fusion materials used for its summon. If you use dual avatar empowered YuGiOh, it gains if your dual avatar monster battles, its attack becomes 3000 during damage calculation only. If you use dual avatar empowered Mitsujaku, it gains once per opponent's turn. Quick effect, you can target one card on the field, banish it. If this fusion summon card is destroyed, you can special summon 1 dual avatar Fists Yuhi and 1 dual avatar Feet Kokoku from your deck, and if you do, they cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects this turn. I am surprised I was able to do that in one take. I honestly don't know anything about dual avatars. I know they came out and were just completely a non-factor. The archetype does not feel like it has any serious synergy or playing power at all, and even the 1 or 2 decent cards that they have is nowhere near enough to make a coherent strategy. So, if you're a dual avatar fan and you're happy about this, I am thrilled for you. And if you're a dual avatar fan and you hate this, I am sorry for you. But I am not going to do an in-depth analysis on this card beyond covering that it exists because I find it to be kind of irrelevant, but I will say, based on some of the research that I did prior to this video reading, people do seem a little bit excited about that quick effect, you know, popping disruption thing going on. It's just, I don't know, it's dual avatar. Like, it's, at the end of the day, you know, it's just not that good, you know? No offense, I don't mean to disrespect anybody, I'm just being honest with you. If you guys think this is better, let me know in the comments below if you're a dual avatar player. I don't know what the odds are I'd get all 3 of you, to watch the video, but yeah, dual avatar Lion Envoys Aun is in Cyberstorm Access. Will probably be downgraded to common, and yeah, maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. I don't know. I'm not going to pretend to. Next up, the Night Man Cometh, S-Force NIGHTCHASER. Well, I don't know if it's a man, actually. It's in costume, so it's hard to tell. S-Force NIGHTCHASER is a Link 1 Dark Cyberse monster, and historically, Link 1s have been really solid, especially when they're designed for archetypes. Cards like Artemis the Majestic Moon Maiden and Striker Dragon are both examples of this, and those cards are really strong. So NIGHTCHASER says 1 non-Link S-Force monster. Each of your opponent's monsters in the same column as one of your S-Force monsters cannot target monsters in its same column for attacks. During the main phase, quick effect, you can target one S-Force monster you control, shuffle it into the deck, then you can special summon one of your banished S-Force monsters. And that effect is, of course, a hard once per turn. So most of the S-Force monsters do banish a monster from hand as cost, and then can do other things. Obviously, Chiyomaru is one of the stronger ones, for whatever that's worth, and you do banish a card from hand before putting Chiyomaru back and then specialing an S-Force from the deck. So you can certainly see where you could maybe ladder up into some combos that actually get some field advantage versus just swapping out 1-for-1s in some cases. Being a Link 1 means it's definitely better than a lot of other options the deck might have, although I do wish it was a searcher in some way, even if it could just grab Bridgehead perhaps from the deck. You'd have a bit more consistency in a deck that would definitely benefit from it, and there's no way, I mean, you're not breaking the game by giving S-Force a bit more consistency. I don't think that's the case in the slightest. So yeah, food for thought, but I do think S-Force NIGHTCHASER is a nice addition to the S-Force deck, and honestly, a step in the right direction, but they definitely need some more. All right, and finally, Melting Your Face Off. That is a very, very unfortunate end destination for the poor soldier who fell for the Trap Tricks bait. Looks like he's dead in a pool of acid there. If you guys are unfamiliar with Trap Trick, it's an archetype that definitely has a lot of synergy with normal traps in general. And of course, there's a card actually called Trap Trick that this card is loosely based on. Trap Trick, you banish a normal trap from your deck, and then you set another copy of that same normal trap from the deck, and it can be activated this turn. But Trap Track is a little different, and we're going to look at why. So it is a normal trap, and it says target a monster you control, destroy it, and if you do, set one normal trap directly from your deck. Except Trap Track. It can be activated this turn. You can only activate 1 trap card for the rest of the turn after this card resolves. You can activate 1 Trap Track per turn. So this is really cool, at least on paper. Some of the first things that come to mind are the Unchained cards. The Unchained monsters already play a lot of traps and have their own in-archetype traps, but this is another way to trigger them while also allowing you to get access to some better traps. Destroying monsters as a condition to activate a card, whether that's a cost or part of the effect, is definitely a powerful thing in Yu-Gi-Oh! In certain strategies, and I think the Unchained monsters are definitely one of the bigger beneficiaries of this. But there are plenty of monsters you can destroy to get cards. Even the dinos, like Baby Ceresaurus and Petite Pteranodon. I don't know, I mispronounced the name. All of those are just some examples that come to mind of what this card's potential could be, especially because it does not need to play 2 copies of a trap to resolve, meaning you can search for limited trap cards, something that's at 1, different cards that maybe you normally wouldn't be able to access with Trap Trick. This is a little bit different in that regard, but of course you do have to control a monster and successfully destroy it, whereas Trap Trick you just activate. So there are some ups and downs there, but this feels like a really, really fun card. And as they're continuing to make like upgraded or different versions of things, we've seen a few of them in Cyberstorm Access. I'm not sure how many of them we've covered at this point, but we'll work them into future videos. Trap Track definitely stands out to me as a really interesting card that has some awesome combo potential, and Unchained easily stands out right off the bat as the biggest beneficiary, but I'm fairly certain even decks like Tearlaments, if they really wanted to, could pop their own monsters to trigger effects and then get traps. Obviously, that deck doesn't really play a lot of trap cards, but maybe if the deck strategy has to shift after a ban list, you could look to this as another potential option. So let me know what you guys think overall of these cards. Do you think Trap Track is actually as exciting as it seems on paper, or is it just going to be too slow because it's a trap card? I want to see what you guys think, so let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.